women as consumers being specifically targeted by pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies, how can women take active part in consumer protection movement, particularly when there is a lack of information and awareness about the harmful effects of the stuff they use?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. But these days, even housewife, they access websites. And there's so much information available on websites. You just have to Google search for chemicals and cosmetics. You will see that there are 515 different chemicals that go into what women put on their bodies every day, routinely. Anti-aging creams, moisturizers, all kinds of things. And most of them are synthetic chemicals. And there are mandatory requirements about listing chemicals. If you buy shampoo, for example, you will see something called SLS. But how do you know what is SLS? You don't know what that chemical stands for. You look it up, it's a very, very strong abrasive which is used on garage floors in the US to remove grease, hard set grease. And you are putting it on your hair? What happens to the hair and the body and the scalp? You don't know, and it is banned. But I have learnt over the years to look at the ingredients, and if it says SLS, I boycott it. I don't buy it. So like that, creating awareness or generating awareness yourself, you don't need to go to a classroom. Women can sit, now that everything is available on the internet, they can access information. For example, recently there was a shampoo brand which said it also contains oil which will nourish your hair. For heaven's sake, shampoo is supposed to remove oil. How can it contain oil which nourishes you? That's a contradiction, and it's a tall claim. It is just promotional advertising. So we went to ASCI with this complaint saying, how can they make such a claim? And ASCI asked them to substantiate their claim and then ban the ad. They can no longer say that it contains nourishing oils. So like this, housewives in fact can do a lot.
Madam, telemarketers are a big headache. Telemarketers. They call you at odd hours when you are in a meeting, having lunch or dinner or sleeping. There is a strong Supreme Court order against these calls.
Yes.
Still there is no respite. How can the consumer fight against getting these annoying calls?
No, but there is a do not call register. And if you register, you are supposed to be free from promotional calls. If you still continue to get under the latest TRAI rules, a fine of 25,000 can be slapped for people who continue to call even numbers which are registered under the do not call. And if you know this law, you can find out who is calling, take down either the phone number or the company number and file a case. And you can claim 25,000. If 10 people, 20 people did that, the scholars will be scared. They will cut down on their indiscriminate calling. I don't get calls like that.
Really annoying.
It's very annoying, but I don't get.
You have stopped that.
I have stopped, and it has worked for me.
So it can work for anybody.
It will work. It should work.
Madam, adulteration of foodstuff is another big menace.
Yes.
How can a consumer fight it? Rather, how can a consumer ensure that the culprits are booked and punished?
There are various laws on adulteration, anti-adulteration laws, and of course, you and I, we cannot test milk at home or whatever oil at home, but there are institutions like this lab I mentioned at Ahmedabad which will test, and occasionally I used to send different brands, samples I would buy in the open market and send it by lorry to the lab. They would remove the labels. They won't know that people testing these products, they don't know what brands they are testing. So there is only a code number. They will test it, and that's what these test reports are about. They tested milk, they tested bread, branded bread, and said these brands have had fungus. They tested milk, they tested atta, they tested spice packets, chili powder, sambar powder, dhania powder and all that, and they publish details of what was found adulterated, what was good value for money, what passed the tests. This is one way.
You spoke about the lab in Ahmedabad. India is such a huge country. why should everybody send it to Ahmedabad? Why can't we have more labs?
Oh, because it's very, very expensive to set up labs that will test all these products. They have to conform to international
But don't
standards.
you think, madam, health is more expensive?
Of course it is. Any day I would say every state should have a testing lab. But the reality is that money will never come for such things. Secondly, even if it is set up, who will monitor? I mean, given the level of corruption in the country, apathy, lack of accountability, how do you ensure that somebody is vigilant enough to make sure that the test reports are authentic?
Madam, another one here. I was told the onus is on the consumer to get the sample tested and certified faulty. This can be done at government labs or government certified
Yes,
labs.
of course.
The lacuna here is that none of these labs have standardized apparatus or procedures followed.
Because the ministry, the government, union government itself, though it has passed this law, it is very sad that it has very low priority. There was a time about 20 years ago when the district forum, which is supposed to hear all these complaints in Bombay, they couldn't find proper premises because the rent sanctioned is so low. They were in some dilapidated building next to a public urinal, and broken chairs for the magistrate, no proper facilities. And once I remember when I filed a case and I won the case, there was no steno to type out the order. And if I want to appeal, I have to appeal within 30 days. And I got the typed order on the 29th day. So these are all, manifestations of apathy on the part of the government, and it can improve only if we all stand up and join our voices and say, hey, why aren't you doing things properly? We want the lab to be working properly, and the media can do a lot. If they publish reports about lack of facilities or poor facilities in these testing labs, then things could improve.
Madam, can citizens as consumers sue civic bodies for bad service? Usually civic agencies escape accountability by putting the blame on contractors. I believe a judgment by the Tamil Nadu Consumer Court, I think you went to the court, held the civic bodies responsible and even ordered monetary compensation in a case relating to garbage clearance. Don't you think this judgment should interest the citizens of Bangalore?
Absolutely.
Who would like to do something about the sorry state of their civic communities?
Yes, I have written about this judgment. I think this was a year ago, I think, or maybe slightly more than that. Because they outsource their garbage clearance, usually the corporation will say, we are not responsible, the subcontractor. The subcontractor, I talked to one subcontractor once actually, and he said, for the money they pay us, I can only engage 6 lorries. So I don't have more money, this is all I can do. So they pass the buck. And in between them, we fall between two stools. But once we got this judgment, we can use it. It's a precedent. So in Chennai, the High Court has said that even if it is outsourced, you are the one who outsourced. So you are ultimately responsible. And that judgment will help. We can say, if we want, we can go and tell the Bangalore BBMP. We can tell them, look, the garbage clearance, and especially since April, they are charging us extra 30 rupees per month for solid waste clearance. So nothing has improved. So where does that money go? Who monitors? I think we are all like the people who say, let somebody else do the thing. Why bother? And we don't realize that it is all in our hands. We can't sit back and just criticize the corporation or the bureaucrats or the politicians. We need to get up and say it is our city, our corporation. The corporation exists for us. There is also one more judgment, previous judgment, which I would like to mention. This is from the north. I think it's from Gujarat, where we got a precedent. We mean CRC. I was part of CRC at that time. I was a trustee. They got a judgment, very good judgment, saying that every municipal corporation, city corporation, it has a mandatory responsibility to clear garbage first before they go in for beautification programs like parks or decorations, painting the walls or whatever. And that judgment was very useful in saying, first you do your clearing, cleaning and sanitation, etc. and then go for planting exotic trees or painting buildings or whatever, or floodlighting for the night or whatever. If we knew about such judgments, we can file, we means community groups can file requests under the Consumer Protection Act saying that there exist such judgments. So why don't you do the same?